Alrighty then, I need to find some commentary material. Though not just any other kind of material, but material that isn't on another commentary. It'd be actually great if I break away from doing commentaries and other commentaries and have this one as a solo commentary. What's this? Commentary material? Well, okay, fine, but I need to see the video first. I don't get as to what you're complaining about, actually. I mean, there are some shows that don't really follow the routine of making it story-driven, and they don't necessarily have to be a story-driven show to begin with and can be just fine. Why am I here within the video? Oh god. Please don't tell me that this is actually another commentary on another commentary. In fact, who made this? Alexander Cayford? And he's actually doing a commentary on my commentary? Oh, screw that shit! I ain't doing it! Nuh-uh! I'm just gonna slowly get up and walk away. I don't wanna do this shit. So I'm just gonna pack my stuff and I'm just gonna head out. Did the intro already played? Does that mean that I have to actually do the commentary? Fuck! Hello there everyone and welcome. My name is A363MTR here to kick some ass because I got your back, and today we're doing somewhat of a response video. Yeah. So, some backstory. Me and Mr. Awesomeman Mario 360 made a co-op commentary on his channel on Alexander Cayford and Robot Walker's episodic review of Betty. Apparently they didn't really take it all that well. In fact, Robert made a long-ass comment in our video with some of the issues that I've responded to, and I honestly thought that Mr. Awesomeman Mario 360, Boonslayer, Night Guy 34, and myself, okay, admittedly, kinda, had a talk with Robert about some of the issues that he had. One of the issues apparently involved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot that airs on Nickelodeon. Alex made a video reviewing the TMNT reboot, and along the way, he responded towards some of the things that I've said within the co-op. Nothing that Mr. Awesomeman Mario said, but what I've said. So, here we are. I'm doing a somewhat of a response to him while critiquing his review of the 2012 TMNT reboot. Before I start though, I want to make a quick warning for the fact that there's going to be a spoiler warning throughout the review. I'll put in the annotations up or leave chime straps for the spoilers. In fact, I'll also go ahead and warn you guys, but just a heads up. And yes, I will bring up about that issue later. But anyways, with all of that being said, let's take a look.
We know your home skips, pick up the phone skips. We know your home skips, pick up the phone skips. All right.
Keep this intro in mind as I have a point to bring up later on within the video.
And you're not gonna shut up about it unless I tear apart an Adventure Time episode for you.
Because, Deep Dish, writers don't care about storytelling anymore these days.
I don't get as to what you're complaining about, actually. I mean, there are some shows that don't really follow the routine of making it story-driven, and they don't necessarily have to be a story-driven show to begin with and can be just fine. I mean, look up shows such as Ed, Edd and Eddy, as well as Courage the Cowardly Dog. Or even the earlier seasons of SpongeBob SquarePants, for example.
Objection!
Ignoring Courage the Cowardly Dog as it is a horror cartoon, SpongeBob and Ed, Edd and Eddy are both slice-of-life shows, whereas Adventure Time is supposed to be a gung-ho adventure show through and through. Now don't get me wrong, we're perfectly alright with slice-of-life as long as it doesn't ignore the elements that the audience shows up for. But with every Dr. Slump or regular show, there's a Sailor Moon or... Alright, that's it. Time for the weekly beating, Viacom.
And now it's time for my interjection beating, Alex. Seriously, I have 3 issues within your overall first response on me. First of all, and can I actually make this one a PSA towards not only commentators as a whole, but for anyone doing video making in general? Can we please stop using the objection gag? It is getting really old fast. I have seen the gag getting old in around mid to late 2015, and I want to die within this year when someone actually showed that. I mean, it's just the same thing over and over again. Someone makes a statement / claim, and then another person uses the objection card and state their claim. I mean, I get for the fact that you can make something that's overused and make something new out of it, but I don't know if you could possibly make something new out of this. I mean, take these 3 examples as to how someone does that shit.
Oh God, what did I just watch?
Objection! This seems familiar. Play the clip.
So you can have an excuse for doing this video. To me, that's what it seems like you're trying to do.
Objection!
I have many things wrong with this one statement.
The ratings are low.
Hold it!
I'm not normally the type to do this Phoenix Wright thing.
Do you get it now, Mr. Cayford? Secondly, my point was not about how the shows were a slice of life. My point was how they don't have to bring the story throughout the entire series, but instead within the episodes only. This is why I've brought up Ed, Edd n Eddy, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and the earlier seasons of SpongeBob SquarePants to back up my point, as well as saying that there are shows that don't need to be story-driven, as you guys were mainly complaining about how
Writers don't care about storytelling anymore these days.
an adventure show doesn't have to be an overarching plot. That's what Adventure of the Week type of show exists for. Does that mean that they're a slice of life? No. In fact, this brings up the third point about how you guys don't get as to what a slice of life means. Slice of life is a realistic representation of everyday experiences in a movie, play, or book. I would honestly argue that SpongeBob and Courage wouldn't be slice of life since they are not really realistic, but maybe Ed, Edd n Eddy is. Any versions of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are not a slice of life since they aren't a realistic representation of everyday experiences. If they were, then there would have been mutants walking around the surface today trying to fight crime, and that would be a realistic representation of everyday experiences, but it's not. I mean, if we were to go by your logic, then shows like Pokemon and Samurai Jack are my favorite slice of life shows, now are they? In fact, I do have one other question. Why does it matter what genres these shows are in? It seems like you only threw that point in because you have nothing better to do other than to pretend that you know what slice of life is. Yeah, now you guys understand as to why I brought up the other intro? Alex, why do you now have 2 intros all of a sudden? I mean, you could have just used the first one since it's shorter because the second one is literally longer than 30 seconds. It specifies to make your intros shorter unless if you wanted to make a bunch of opening credits. However, the first one would just confuse the audience as most of it is just pictures of Pokemon where you've actually tried to review cartoons. For the most part. I mean, I think Robert told me that you were planning on reviewing Kingdom Hearts. I mean, I get it. There's a story within the description, but since not everyone looks at the description these days, it just basically confused your audience because your videos aren't really that much in relations towards Pokemon. Either way, however, both of the intros are basically crap, so try to actually use an intro that makes sense to the audience and make it less than around 25 seconds.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012, also known as Nick Turtles, is the biggest disappointment since my chain-smoking great-grandma.
Powerpuff Girls 2016 is the biggest disappointment since my son.
Corporate marketing never really surprised me in terms of what universes they could sterilize or pervert through meddling and shit. But that was before the Ninja Turtles franchise, which itself was built upon silly concepts and toy lines selling out, were sold themselves to my arch nemesis in the form of a multimedia corporation. Like, wow guys, I expected you to end up at Marvel or DC under their respective corporate banners, but nope. You wanted to risk surviving Michael Bay's filmmaking prowess, and now you're stuck with the goddamn talking cheese.
I expect nothing. and I'm still let down.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if part of the reason why he hated the reboot version is because it's under Nickelodeon, and Nick is part of Viacom. Like, I understand that you don't like Viacom, but come on, there's honestly gotta be other shows that are actually good within Nickelodeon. Like, take Loud House, for example. That's honestly been getting some positive reception. Hell, people told me that the newest season of SpongeBob SquarePants is actually getting good again, and Harvey Beaks has also been getting some positive reception. Just for now, just get your Viacom hatred boner away from me. I just don't want my video age restricted because of that.
Now, every incarnation of a particular franchise like this has its own set of fans. That's why it's managed to hold on to a sizable chunk of it. One thing that makes it unique is that it tries to make a balance between the serious tone of the 2003 4Kids series and the kinda out there humor of the 87 Fred Wolf Turtles with a Mutant of the Week formula. Don't we all just love those? What really helps sell this show to potential viewers is the anime-esque art effects that show up from time to time. Fitting as the same guys who did the good Teen Titans cartoon came on board for this show at the start of it. But presentation alone can't carry a crappy storyline.
Notice for the fact that Alex is now actually using gameplay footage when it comes towards his review. I mean, is that actually part of the new subgenre of gameplay commentaries now? Hey guys, I'm Rejected Leafy Clone here, and I want to do a review of an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants called One Course Meal. Basically, throughout the entire episode, I just mainly wanted to grab a bottle of bleach and jug it down because the episode sucks. Thanks for listening to my review, and make sure to leave a like, because one like and you get yourself a picture of a bottle of bleach drinking another bottle of bleach. Have a good day. I feel unclean all of a sudden. I don't know why. I would assume it's partially because of them trying to avoid copyright, though. However, there's a problem with that. First of all, part of it is the fact that it's not really relatable towards the overall show itself. I mean, couldn't you find gameplay footage of anything that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles related? Because they exist, you know. Secondly, a bit nitpicky, but you keep changing what game you're showing throughout the video to the point where I'm pretty sure that even Leafy or Pyrocynical doesn't even do that to begin with. And even if they do change the gameplay, they only do that once within the video, not multiple times. Thirdly, and this is the biggest one of all, but couldn't you try to maybe actually provide some footage when you're actually talking about maybe the art style? You've mentioned within the section here about the anime-like reactions, so can you try to show that? Again, I understand for the fact that you don't want to have yourself a copyright strike, but I'm pretty sure that maybe adding in a little bit more footage wouldn't really hurt that much, now would they? I mean, this is basically something that I can show you from my 8th commentary to somewhat back up my point. There's a reason as to why your English teachers in school prefer, if you have most, if not then all of your essays, to show your audience, not tell your audience. Oh, and a small thing, but if you're showing gameplay because you don't want to have a copyright strike is true, then isn't Nintendo a lot more stricter when it comes towards copyright instead of any of the other games? Just saying. Oh, and while we're actually stopping here, good God, your mic quality is really shitty. You couldn't even try to fix that shit in the time span of a year ago when you did that review of Betty? Couldn't you try to find a fucking decent microphone to use instead of what sounds like a shitty webcam microphone? Hell, you've got a new camera from the looks of it at the beginning, so couldn't you actually use that microphone instead of that? From what Doug Walker told us within his behind the scenes of making a Nostalgia Critic review, he mainly uses that for a camera microphone instead, but I think he mainly goes a bit close but not too close. Oh, and if for some weird reason that you're going to complain to me about how Windows Movie Maker doesn't allow you to do that, then I'm pretty sure that there's a website where it could change the format from an MP4 to an MP3.
We know your home skips, pick up the phone skips. We know your home skips, pick up the phone skips. All right.
But it's when it gets to Donnie that our praise for this fruity little show stops. See, American animation studios today only cater to a specific 6 to 11 demographic, as opposed to the all-ages entertainment of the animation renaissance brought about by the Steven Spielberg animated universe containing Tiny Toons and Animaniacs and the like. Viacom, through Nickelodeon, is obviously the biggest example of such a stupid mentality of shooing away those that don't fit into this category. That's why Avatar and Invader Zim were flushed out. That's why SpongeBob and Fairly OddParents are kept alive against their will. That's why Dan Schneider has a career, and that's why the show invented these aged-down versions of a sizable chunk of the cast, like the Turtles themselves, obviously, but also Karai, April O'Neil, Casey Jones, even squeezing in Irma Langenstein in her first appearance since the Fred Wolf series. Again, more on her later.
So, you first brought up Donatello as a character and how he's not really a great character, and then you actually lost focus and head towards the demographic of the show? How is that related? In fact, how did you lost focus all of a sudden? You need to understand that focusing is the key to reviewing. Otherwise, you end up with a clusterfuck that doesn't even know what it wants to do or what it wants to be.
And now let's get back to Donnie for a little bit. See, back when this show first started, there was a lot of support for Donnie Cross April. This was due to many people finding Donnie's crush endearing and him being a borderline woobie. However, near the middle of the first season, he went from attention-seeking to what can be considered downright stalking.
And those examples would be... Come on, you gotta help me out here. What examples would that be?
Not to mention a whole nother line of romantic tension between Leo and Cry, which is a whole nother can of worms I'd rather not open. Throw in Season 2, adding Nickelodeon regular Josh Peck as Casey Jones, and Donnie has slowly backed off from the ship, as many of the longtime fans of the show have. And thank God for that. It's considered zoophilia and is frowned upon in most countries.
Actually, wait, didn't Donnie try to compete with Casey Jones at first for April? It's nothing new for a show to have one character have a crush on another character only for a competition to show up. Best example I can think of this is how in Gravity Falls, Dipper has a crush on Wendy, then Robbie comes into the picture, Robbie and Dipper compete for Wendy, Robbie eventually dates Wendy and then breaks up with her, Wendy knows about Dipper's crush and they talk about it, and then other stuff happens. Also, it's just a kid's show. Are you really going to take it that seriously? Sex really doesn't have anything to do with the show within the first place. Hell, there are shows like Gargoyles that also does the interrelationship and are successful. Why exactly are you downgrading the show because of a viewership input rather than realizing that it's just a show that's meant to be for kids?
Predictably enough for this show, Mikey only fares a little better. But that's mainly because the one girl left to pair him up with has been screwed over, as we'll see in a few minutes. Voice actor Greg Sipes does well in the role, and he certainly looks the part, but that's something you can say for the other turtles. The designs reflect an anime-esque art style in keeping with the anime feel to it, and it even works to give the turtles more unique definitions to add to the colored masks and different skin tones. But this dates back to Viacom's little problem I mentioned earlier, just like the aged-down human characters. Back to Greg Sipes as Mikey. He's good, but every time I watch Mikey in action, I'm just one close set of eyes away from hearing Beast Boy telling his fellow Titans to kill the white man.
Booyakasha, right? In the Queen's English, right? Means like, hear me now, both selector, swallow back, holla, big up yourself, everything Irie, coming at you like Cleopatra, coming the buck of the bus, recognize, represent, keep it real, diggity check yourself before you wreck yourself, swallow back. Oh yeah, and hello.
Ignoring the fact that you've managed to drag the joke out, you're basically telling me that it's Viacom's fault for Mikey's voice sounding similar to Beast Boy, even though that Beast Boy is in a different company. Did I forget to mention that you didn't even elaborate as to why it's somewhat of a bad problem to begin with? Did I also forget to mention that Mikey and Beast Boy is actually the same voice actor too? Also, this one is going to be a mild spoiler warning, so I'll place this time strap here for you guys to skip this part. If you guys have already known about the Mutagen Man, or even who he is, or if you guys don't even care about the spoilers, then you may continue on within the video.
And speaking of dorks that have been beaten down by corporate sameness, the Mutagen Man, ladies and gentlemen, wasn't he a pile of missed opportunities? Such a shame for such a handsome devil. Once a turtle fanboy stand-in by the name of Timothy, he tried to impress his idols under the monkeyer of the Pulverizer.
Yeah.
Though clearly not the brightest bulb in Banky Stadium, you could say he did his best to help, even if it hindered the turtles like Mike from the Fred Wolf series before him. Some people might find him annoying, but keep in mind that the mutations of the week up to that point have been played for laughs. So seeing an innocent person in such searing pain before melting into the puddle of ooze we call Mutagen Man...
Stopping you right here because how the hell was he innocent? If anything, he essentially was a dumbass that didn't listen to anything because he wanted to be a mutant that could help fight with the turtles. But instead, he's now a big pile of gloop because Timothy didn't listen to Donatello about the effects of the ooze. Hell, and Pulverizer returns. Donnie tries to get Timothy away from the mutagen, but failed when he gets cornered by Dog Pound and with the other turtles fighting the foot soldiers and Fish Face.
He was promised to be the centerpiece of the second season, but then the showrunners got fired for not using the crane! You have no idea how much I hope that there is evidence to be found that prove otherwise.
Wait, evidence? Anything to back up your sources? The only things that there were within the description are some self-promotion and Rebel Taxi's Tumblr blog instead. Oh, and before you misinterpreted me again, what I meant was, how do you know that Timothy was supposed to be the centerpiece of the second season instead? If there's another point that you've meant to say, however, then please be clearer next time.
We know your home skips, pick up the phone skips. We know your home skips, pick up the phone skips. Alright!
But this sadly has its drawbacks, which hurts many an aspect of the show, one of which being Irma Langenstein. Loosely based on her Fred Wolf series counterpart, she's dorky like Donnie, but more deadpan and down to earth. She isn't afraid to admit her feelings and give input on a situation. She just says what she feels with no regrets in her mind. She appeared in an episode or two before we got a glimpse of her true potential in A Chinatown Ghost Story.
We know your home skips, pick up the phone skips. We know your home skips, pick up the phone skips. Alright!
Oh, just a heads up before we continue, there will be a spoiler warning for this next point, so skip to this part here if you don't want to be spoiled. You're welcome, and yes, I am getting to that spoiler warning on his end now.
Basically, Ho Chan said that Irma had a special power within her that he himself is unsure of. This sparked an idea or two in my head. Maybe she was capable of using magic to act as a counterpoint to Karai's foot ninja teachings and April's psychic Utron powers. Yeah, April has mutant powers now. In fact, she's a half-human, half-Krang hybrid or something. Look, I don't really get it either, but just go with it and be thankful that she didn't come to life from a fucking drawing this time around.
Well, thanks for the spoilers. Now I'll never be as satisfied with watching the show again. Yeah, now you know as to why I brought up the whole spoiler warning within the beginning of the commentary, and hell, within this point here. You don't even try to show any kinds of warning within the review, so it just comes off as you spoiling bits and pieces of the show unfairly. Which, never mind for the fact that you derailed the topic. Again!
In case you're wondering, yes, I really did like this character a lot, and hoped that she'd get more involved in the show and finally get to hang around the turtles and be all badass like them. And yes, I really would have loved to see her train with Splinter and see what kind of weapon she'd use and see her moves in action. I really believed that she had the potential of it all. But then, just watch.
You guys are as dumb as a box of rocks!
Hey, didn't you say that Irma haven't been used since the 80s cartoon? One could argue that this was the best that the showrunners can do with her without making her some random background character that nobody's gonna care about in T-minus 20 minutes. Not to mention the twist that this creates. Now, if this were maybe one of the turtles turning out to be a crane-controlled robot along the lines of, say, John Connor being the Terminator in Terminator Genesis, then I can see you being pissed off. But it's not. It's some random-ass background character that the showrunners have nothing else to do with. Also, this one is what Mr. Awesome in Mario 360 told me, but if you're going to bring up Craig Supreme as Irma, you could have also mentioned a Utron with an Irma suit. Late into Season 4, when the turtles are in space, they attempt to get assistance from the Utron, and what if the High Console has a robotic body that is like Craig Supreme with a different color scheme, and, well, minus the whole transformation thing. So ultimately, this means that either Irma technically doesn't exist, or they have to get the design from somewhere, meaning that a real Irma does exist, but they haven't been officially seen. So essentially, it feels like as if it's the latter, then you're just kind of jumping into conclusions. Finally, 2 media clips in a row this time. why not at least try to show one? It would have worked better instead of showing the second one, just so that you can get the message out saying, Viacom, we only like money. Your money, to be precise. Instead of having the second clip, which, by the way, while you're referencing cancer, like, holy crap, and could potentially confuse your audience that way. Oh, and, by the way, this part here, the actual fuck you part with the logo showing up thingy right here, that part right here? Yeah, I'm adding another one for the counter.
Almost 10 years without a new game.
I've been waiting for you to come home, baby.
Guess we'll have to make our own.
Don't get me wrong, as much as I love Gilbert Gottfried, who doesn't, he's quite hilarious, although annoying at times, he's trying to lift a sinking ship that the character he portrays, Cranks the Prime, made one of the bigger holes in, with the potential characterization that he had just wasted. Compare this to the wasted character development for Marceline the Vampire Queen in possible future regular customer Adventure Time. To move through time, you must leave your body behind, or some shit like that.
And yet you don't elaborate as to what this hole is earlier, and made the comparison instead. You see, this is another problem with your review, Alex. You don't elaborate on shit. It really would help out when it comes towards helping your audience getting your point across, but instead, you basically lost focus yet again. I wonder if you even have ADD.
This is why Robbie the writer had an issue with the episode entitled Betty as to why Marcy lost her toy bear. Why can't she give it to another kid, instead of just stuffing it into a time machine?
Then how would Betty come back? How would Simon transform into the Ice King again? In fact, since he was essentially getting so old within the episode, how would he actually survive that? Then Simon would potentially die, and we wouldn't have the story arc of Betty being in the land of Ooh, which I'll get into later.
The characters are limited to their story arc episodes, and that's the way characters go to waste.
There have been plenty of shows that have the overall story arc that, although represented to a minor degree in the other episodes, are only brought in the forefront of a smaller section of the episodes. The majority of times, there's a lot more of a story arc near the beginning or the end of the season than in the middle, and that's clearly what happens here.
To keep the continuity crunch-out examples within the Nicktoon family, we'll point you towards Jimmy Timmy Power Hour 2 when nerds collide. In that brain-dead excuse for a TV special, Professor Calamitous and Jorgen von Strangle, voiced by Tim Curry and Darren Norris respectively, tried to grab Jimmy's 3D hypercube, but things went into chaos, and after their fusion, we never see it again. This is the same episode where the rules about anti-fairies were flushed out of the main Fairly Odd Parents canon forever, definitely causing permanent damage to the concept in general, hence the reason why I intend to tear apart these specials in the future.
Okay, yeah, about the whole thing, not my point. You are arguing over something that's actually something that Robert would try to later refute within my co-op with Mr. Awesome and Mario, but failed miserably. His point in that section, however, was how the characters are limited to their story arc episodes and how they wasted more time. Which, by the way, thanks for taking that section out to try and make my point mute.
What you're saying is this show is designed around...
Yes, wasting more time!
And I stated that they usually do that with Adventure Time to expand the story arcs within the ending or beginning of each season instead of in the middle. How the hell is your point about continuity crunch out related towards my fucking point? Even then, you're comparing apples to oranges right now because my point was about the seasonal episodes instead of it being the special episodes. And in relations towards the episode of Betty, however, how the hell is Betty a continuity crunch out? The doll plays an important role of the series, and it plays a big role in Marceline's character. If anything, it furthers the continuity, not killing it, especially since Betty comes into play now. That is because Marceline's doll was a symbol of her past relationship with the Ice King when he was still Simon. Yeah, it's totally not sentimental to both Marceline and the story itself! If you couldn't tell because of how dumb your fucking point is, I was being sarcastic at the end. Oh, and one more thing, I like how you bring up the second Jimmy/Timmy Power Hour where the Professor Guy and Jorgen get fused, only to show footage from the first Jimmy/Timmy Power Hour where Goner became a monster. GG, you lazy ass!
Then there's this asshole, Master Splinter. Give credit to what they're trying to accomplish with Hamato Yoshi becoming Splinter like in the Fred Wolf series, which combined with the dramatic backstory of most other incarnations of the character make the mutation seem like an insult to injury. But to put a But to put it bluntly,
Hey, great job on the editing department. I rate 8 out of 8, mate. Now where's the gun? Oh, and by the way, another spoiler warning is gonna come up, so click here to skip it.
Splinter's kind of a dick. He pushes his turtles down and shames them in whatever way possible. His parenting skills are all over the place, and there are way too many storylines he could have averted if he had a thing called common sense. But it's in the climax of Season 1 where the character designs show off just how much his taller design is absolute garbage. Rowdy C of the fantastic internet review series TV Trash explains that giving Splinter a shorter stature and the other shows compared to the old Shredhead himself gives the image of the whole size does not matter method when the two fall. That works pretty well. The trope is averted entirely here because of demographic politics. So yeah, I did not feel a drop of pity when Shredder finally kills him off in the Season 3 finale. Spoiler, fuck you.
So, you do actually give out spoiler warnings, but now it's for a joke/comedic gag. The way that you played that joke, that was a shitty joke to make because essentially, you do realize that there are people out there who either don't want to watch TMNT but care about the spoilers, or those who do but don't want to ruin the experience because of the spoilers, right? Also, how the hell is Master Splinter considered to be a dick? Again, you don't explain shit, and I could potentially argue that he's preparing the turtles for hard shit to come, which obviously happens. And unlike you, I at least care about spoiler warnings. Oh, and by the way, Splinter technically didn't die. In the episode Earth's Last Stand, we can actually see the past version of Splinter being alive, so that would mean that Splinter would be still out there and would be in another episode soon. And you know what? I'm done. I have a feeling I'm gonna repeat my point later on, so I want to add in one more to the counter right here. Yeah, you notice the counter? Well, that'll actually tie me over towards possibly my longest final thoughts that I'll ever make. First of all, I noticed that not only within this review, but possibly towards your other reviews, you tend to have a habit of ripping off bigger YouTubers. In fact, it seems like you like to think that you're up there with the bigger reviewers and ranters out there, when you're that one kid who always tries to hang out with the jocks but fails miserably. In fact, I would like to tell you a story. This here is a user named Shorby. He's considered to be the biggest leafiest clone out there because not only does he try to talk like him, but he acts like him too.
The term leafy clone is an easily thrown around term in my opinion. I mean, I get comments still that say, oh, Sharby, you're a fucking leafy clone, and, you know, 99.9% of the people that comment that unironically are people that literally just go see that I speak English in front of a game, and then they call me a leafy copy.
This resulted in people like Scythe calling him out on his overall bullshit. Oh, and by the way, subscribe to Scythe, you What I would consider you, though, especially with your avatar picture being somewhat similar towards Pan Pizza's, having a series called Deep Dish Reviews, linking Pan's Tumblr account in the description and nicknaming him his waifu, and actually stealing jokes from time to time, one of which was from this review and the other one I'll actually show you as an example.
What the fucking quiz shit? Aeon Flux? Oh, you wish this was Aeon Flux.
This literally looks nothing like Aeon Flux. What are you talking about? Ah, you're trying too hard to be like Rebel Taxi. That I don't even think you're trying at all. At least he is better than you.
You're kinda being a Pan Pizza clone. I would advise you to actually try to be original as you can, because you cannot keep ripping people off like this. Secondly, your review is just a jumbled up mess. You don't elaborate, you lose focus most of the time, you expect to have your audience take things out of face value, and you don't show evidence because you're showing gameplay footage instead. You keep telling us stuff, but you don't actually try to show us stuff and explain what they are. Hell, looking back at the commentary that MacBoy Redux made on you, you've made the same problem with not elaborating shit, so I honestly cannot tell if you're going to take what I have to say to you and take it for your future reviews. But in all honesty, I would have forgotten those points if you didn't try to refute 2 points within my overall video with Mr. Awesome and Mario 360. My problem isn't because of how, oh my god, you've responded to me. Now I have to defend myself because I'm always right, you filthy pleb. No, my actual problem is the fact that you want to take jabs at me because you can. The worst part is that you're trying to shoehorn it into something unrelated. Either make a review or a commentary. don't do both. Even if it was possible for you to do both, you didn't pull it off without making everything a massive clusterfuck. Alex, if you really wanted to do a video response on me, then fucking do it. I've already said within the end of my commentaries that if you guys have an issue within the video in question, then you may have my permission to do a commentary on the video. Why are you actually hiding it to the point where it just sounds like as if you're actually secretly attacking me when obviously you really weren't trying to do that? Alex, if I have to actually give you some last minute advice, have people check your script. And if for some odd reason that you have people checked it, then let others check it too. You've basically added me on Skype, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna send you contacts from people like LNI Guy 34, Boonslayer, George Raccoon Man, Doodletones, Mr. Awesome and Mario 360, and possibly maybe even Ski Hound and Pikmin Trick if they're up for it. Hopefully they can help you out when it comes towards scripting a review, because I'm gonna be blunt here, you're essentially not gonna go far if you keep this up. I know for the fact that my criticisms in this commentary are a lot harsher than when I usually do them, but if you do keep this up, then I can guarantee you that you'll essentially become a bigger bandwagon than you currently are today, and that you'll end up being a laughingstock within the community for a short time frame. This is not me saying that because you've taken jabs at me. This is me saying this because people already couldn't take you seriously, as well as how some people find you either cringy or downright disturbing at times. Hell, there have already been 5 commentaries on you, there is actually a playlist called Anti-Alexander Cayford Videos, and even a cringe compilation that was made that was compiled from your videos. Look, Alex, this is what I have to say for you right now. Please, actually try to be original, and please actually try to not rip off of other people, or else more people will actually see who you are and would potentially make fun of you for it. I'm just gonna go ahead and just lie down. I want to thank Mr. Awesome and Mario 360 and LNI Guy 34 big time for helping me with the script. And I would also like to thank Big Daddy Joe for showing me this video on Twitter, even though I have a huge feeling that he's a massive Alex Cayford hater. If you guys have any issues within this video, then leave it down in the comments below, or you may have my permission to do a commentary on this video. This includes you, Alexander Cayford and Robert Walker. For now, however, my name is 8363MTR saying have a wonderful journey through the depths of space and time, but until then, I'm signing out.
Alright, that's it. Time for the weekly beating, Viacom.